Joy is your inheritance, and joy is your function. All together. Joy is my inheritance, and joy is my function. How does that feel? Diana, bring the baby here so we can see joy in action. So this little guy was born 7 months ago, Ari Felipe Maurer. And if this is not joy, what is? So the innocence that is in him is in each and every one of us. And it's easy to see the Christ in babies, right? I can see the Christ in him. Our job is to be able to see the Christ all the time. Regardless of form, regardless of how we look, differences. What Ari has and the innocence we see in him, it's our job in our lives to see it in ourselves daily. The Christ within him is also born in you this Christmas. That's what Christmas is all about. So let's have a hand for Ari. So I was looking up an article. I love unity.org. They have a lot of different resources. If you guys haven't looked into it, there's a lot of different articles of different types of seasons. And for Christmas, different ministers of unity write articles. And this one in particular, when I printed this, I didn't print but I know it was Reverend Gott that wrote this. But I love this part, and I'm going to elaborate on this now after I pick up this spread paper. Okay. In unity, we teach that the qualities of the divine are present within us, and we can call them forward into our lives consciously. The spiritual quality of joy is simply part of our nature as expressions of spirit. As children of a God, it's in us now, always. It's not dependent on circumstances of our lives. This starts to get good here. According to unity principle, we can experience and express the joy of God even in the most difficult times. Right? I find this easier said than done. Do you? According to unity principle, we can experience and express the joy of God even in the most difficult times. This is where we're going today. Because I feel that it's hard in life to keep our joy when all of this stuff outside is going on. Right? When we have certain responsibilities, certain issues that we have to deal with, and to keep the joy is not easy. I just came back from a 2-month vacation with my husband. We went to Germany to visit his family. We also went to Miami to visit my family. And at times, it was very challenging to keep my joy. Because I'm traveling with a baby. I'm not in my space. I'm not in my bed. My ego wants my bed, my kitchen, my stuff. My oven, right? So it's hard for me to be there in that space in my husband's family's house and to feel at home. So at times I struggled. I mainly struggled when I first got to Miami, my hometown. And I remember that I was going to give a talk about happiness and a workshop on happiness. And I remember that I was feeling out of sorts. I wasn't feeling like myself. And I thought that was strange because I'm usually feeling pretty good because of my spiritual practice, some of the principles of unity and Course in Miracles. And as I walked into the workshop, I wasn't feeling well. I was having a little bit of triggers with my husband. We could all relate to this, right? With our spouses. And I was also feeling a little bit off. I don't know if it was hormonally after having the baby. A lot of stuff was going on. So I walk in and the lady that owns the place says, "How are you?" And I said, like Ari said, "I'm fine." She says, "No, really, how are you?" I go, "I'm good." She's like, "Out of the heavens." Oh, she just starts channeling and she says, "Maria, it's okay to be all over the place." And I said, "What do you mean? I could be all over the place? Really?" "Oh my God, yes, I could be all over the place." So this is the first step to joy, is compassion, is to have compassion. So for myself, I wasn't allowing myself to feel at peace. I wasn't allowing myself to be all over the place. I wasn't allowing myself to not have it all together. I'm a minister, I'm a teacher of God, I need to have it together, and I speak about happiness, so I need to be happy, right? So I didn't realize that I wasn't being authentic, and I wasn't allowing myself to be okay with not having it all together. Does that make sense? So when she told me, Maria, you just had a baby 7 months ago, it's okay that you don't feel good. It's okay that you don't have it together. And I was like, wow, okay, good. All right. She goes, go in this room. And in this room, there was all these essential oils. Go in this room and breathe and take all the time you want. And you come out when you need to come out. I was like, what is happening here? What is happening here? And this is a great message, because the universe conspires for your goodness. God conspires for your goodness. When you're living your purpose, angels come out of the woodworks. You know, angels like Donna with her voice come out of the woodworks. Erica comes out of the woodworks to do platform. Christine with her service. People come to support you in your function, which is joy. So I walk into the workshop. I sit down, and I could have chosen to do the workshop that I usually do. I'm really good at it. You know, I've done it many, many times. I could have shown up and I could have done the workshop like I usually do the workshop. But I chose to sit there, and the first thing I said is, hey guys, I speak about happiness. I wrote a book called Live Your Happy, and I'm supposed to be a happy expert. And it's going to be very hard for me to do this workshop because I'm not feeling very happy. The room lit up. Compassion for myself brings joy. Authenticity brings joy. Honesty, honest. I'm not feeling good today. That is what joy is. Within the joy, within that, you get to experience a more authentic joy, because you're being authentic with your feelings. You're feeling your feelings. I'm not feeling very good right now. Everybody resonated with it, of where I really stepped into my power and was like, hey, I'm not feeling good today. The key is what it says here, is that the divinity, that quality is within us. That Christ self is in us. So regardless, if I'm not feeling good, it doesn't mean that my happiness has gone away. It doesn't mean that my joy has gone away. Why? Because it's my inheritance. It's my function. I might forget for a second in my problems. I might forget for a second that I'm not feeling good. But my function in Christ never goes away. It's always there. I'm always under the happiness umbrella. I'm always under the joyful umbrella. It's always there. It's just that I forget. And I might step out, but the umbrella's still waiting there for me to come back. So it's like spirits hanging out in the sidelines behind the tree, or behind, this Christmas tree, waiting for you to remember who you are again. That's just the way that it works. So I want to ask everyone here today, let's just be honest. How many of you feel all over the place? How many of you feel like you don't have it all together sometimes? Doesn't it feel good to say that? And to just be like, yeah. How about you take it to the next step and be okay with that? Hey, you know what? I feel out of sorts. Hey, I don't have it all together. That's compassion. That's how you reach joy, is by having compassion for yourself. Like, I'm feeling out of sorts. I feel sad. I feel off. I feel upset. When we start to pretend, when we start to act as if everything's fine, if I get up there and I start to preach about happiness and I'm not being authentic, it doesn't work for me. She even said it. The owner of the facility after said, Maria, you could have gone up there, you could have done your workshop, but you didn't. You chose this way. And in this way, we all awaken when we're honest. When we're honest. So I'm calling it the CPT to joy. The CPT. So remember, C is compassion. You get out of that critical mind about yourself that you have to be perfect. You have compassion for yourself that maybe sometimes you're not that perfect. And then P is to be present. In the presence, you are in joy. I was feeling out of sorts because I was thinking about the future. I was probably thinking about other things, of how things are going to be in Europe, or how my workshop is going to go in London, or having, thoughts about my husband and our relationship. That takes me away from being in my joy. So presence is an important quality of joy, to be present with what you're doing. If you're here, you're here. If you're washing the dishes, be with the dishes. If you're eating the apple, be with the apple. Ooh, no. Bite the apple. Ooh, what? Look at my arm. When you brush your teeth. I've said this before, brush your teeth. Have you ever brushed your teeth and be like, oh my God, I'm so good at brushing my teeth? Have you ever been that way? No. You're thinking about, I don't know what. What's happening later? How about you be with the toothbrush? Be with that. The ego mind is the part of the mind that the Course calls the lovelessness. The loveless mind. It's loveless. And that is where we function, usually in this world of duality, in this world of illusion, in this world of human form. We function from this space. But the good news is that unity reminds us that the divinity of the Christ is within us. And there's no better time of the year than December to remember that. The last step is T. CPT is trust. You step into trust, into knowing that God has never left you, into knowing that regardless, if you might not feel that joyous right now, if you're not feeling all that good right now, you trust and know that God is there, has your back, and Spirit has your back. And your joy is right around the corner. I wasn't feeling good that day in Miami in the workshop. I gave the workshop. Maybe the next day I wasn't feeling all too good. But the third day, I started to feel joyous again. I started to feel my happiness again. But I recognized that the joy and the happiness that I felt is something that's innate in me, and that I chose to forget it. I just chose to forget it. But we can remember it again. So I invite you to start to be more compassionate with yourselves, more loving with yourselves. Allow yourself to feel. You got to feel it to heal it. What we do is that we like to get distracted. Watch that movie, watch the news, go out and buy gifts, get very distracted. We're very distracted, especially in the holiday season. It's important to start to feel our feelings, to start to do an inventory of maybe something you haven't let go of, a grievance, to let go of some insecurity you have within, to start to feel, wow, I want to be honest with myself. I'm not being authentic in this area of my life. I'm not forgiving in this area of my life. I'm holding grudges in this area of my life. Does that make sense? Is to take an inventory of your life right now this Christmas. That's the best gift you can give to yourself, is to be honest and finally honor your feelings. What have you been sad about this year? Or what have you been sad about for 40 years, 50 years, 60 years? What are you still hanging on to? I invite you to be compassionate with yourself. I invite you to be loving with yourself. That day that I was able to speak in the workshop and say what I said authentically, that I'm a happiness teacher and that how am I going to speak about happiness, was beautiful, and it changed my life. It changed my life because from then on I gave myself the opportunity to be all over the place. It gave myself the opportunity to just be. And sometimes I'm not going to have it all together. I have a 7-month-old, and sometimes things are going to be out of sorts. Maybe I didn't sleep that well, My little guy had me up a couple times last night. I didn't have the sleep that I wanted. But the joy is an acceptance of that. We lose our joy because we wish things would be another way. I wish if this was like this, then I would be joyous. If this was like this, I would be happy. How about things are just are? I didn't sleep as much as I wanted to last night. And what's the big deal? We live in joy when we don't make things matter. To not make things such a big deal. Right? We make it matter so much. This is such a big deal. You know, when we start to let go of all that this matters and this is such a big deal, we start to really be on the joy train. We start to really be on the happy train, right? So are you guys ready to get on the happy train? Are you guys ready to get on the joyous train? Christina's ready. She's already saying yes. So I invite you to put your hand like this, and I invite you to go. You want to show everybody how to do it? Choo-choo! All right, everyone, let's pray. Thank you, dear God, for the opportunity to feel our joy, for the opportunity to remember that our joy has never left us. It is what we are, it's our inheritance, it's our function. If for just 1 second or just a couple of hours we have forgotten who we are in truth, that we have forgotten that the Christ is within us, we feel that. We feel it to heal it. But within that, we remember you, God. We remember that we could come back to you regardless of what's going on in form, regardless of the chaos. This Christmas season, God, we release all that no longer serves. I invite every single one of you to visualize an altar. And at this time, I want you to wrap up in presence any limiting thoughts or anything that is heavy on your heart right now. I want you to wrap it up in a present. I want you to wrap up your limiting beliefs, and I want you to put them on the altar. And anything else that comes to your mind, just wrap it up and put it on the altar as a symbol of giving it over to God. I want you to wrap up anything that you think that you need that will bring you joy, anything in form that you think that you want or would complete you that's outside of you. I want you to wrap that up. And I want you to give it over to God as a symbol of getting out of your own way, of trying to control, trying to manipulate, as a symbol of allowing God's will to be done. So at this time, out loud, I want you to declare, God, may be your will and not my will. God, may be your will and not my will. And I invite you to open your eyes now and just take that in, what you just said. And I want to close with how I opened, which is, God is my inheritance, and God is my function. All together, God is my inheritance, and God is my function. I can't get enough of it. God is my inheritance, and God is my function. The time has come to get to work. We have enough education, enough things, enough books that we read. The time has come to embody joy. The time has come to live your happy, to live it with every part of your being, with your relationship with yourself and your relationship with others, and live it. You got to live your joy. That's the way that you're going to start to live the happiness that God knows you to be and that you're so worthy of. Thank you, everyone. Amen.